guys, Max here, and in this video we are going to be painting the van. Well, painting part of it. We're going to be priming the roof today, and then we'll be painting the roof, and then we'll be putting the solar panel on, which will be in another video. But this is the start of the rust and painting treatment. But basically, we chose the military paint from Paints for Trade, and we also chose the military primer and also the thinner, because then it makes it last long. We got a 2.5 litre tin, and it should easily do that van 2.5 litres, thinned down of course. And yeah, so I will try and give a tutorial of as much as possible. But basically, you have to use, you want to sand back any of the rust, and personally I would cover it with like Cure Rust stuff, because that completely gets rid of any rust, like the Rust-Oleum stuff, or just rust converter in general. There's multiple brands out there, and they all work fairly well, I think. I've seen multiple uses, multiple people using them. So yeah, you can just, a rust converter would then make sure there's none of that rust left. But my mum doesn't know about that. And I doubt it would be that hard, easy to change your mind. So sand back the rust till metal, or grind it, depending on how bad it is, and then primer it. And for the rest of it, you want to sugar soap it, just to get rid of any grease. So yeah, let's get to that. This here, this is filler, because this whole side had a dent in, and from a tree from before we owned it, and it had been dodgily filled. So then we got a guy to pull it out, but then obviously it still needed some filling, and it's cracked along this edge in pretty much the whole way along, and it's only been a year, so that's very disappointing. But we're going to try and feather out the cracks, and like I said, we're doing primer first, and then once we've painted the whole roof in primer, then we'll be painting it in the top coat about 3 times, like I said, 3 coats. We only got 1 litre of primer and 2.5 litres of top coat, and I think we went for the light aircraft grey. But yeah, so I'm just feathering this out so we can put primer on it so it doesn't rust anymore. Okay guys, so we have grinded back the bloody exposure. We've grinded back all the main rust spots, as you can see, and down these little channels where there's been rust and stuff. The annoying thing is this side's mostly sealant in these bits, so can't really grind them, but we should be able to get them out with some sugar soap, which is what this guy recommended to do. So that comes in, that's the next step. But basically this bit's filler, as I've already said, so I've feathered all of this out, and we worked out why there was cracks and why it was dripping rust, and that is simply because we had it pulled out, and then obviously it can't be perfect, so it had some filler, and the cracks were just where the filler meets the metal. So maybe now it's kind of settled in the filler, and we've given it another sand back. When we paint it now, it shouldn't crack and rust again, because we are painting with primer, so that's corrosion protective. So that should all work. These were all filled with mud because they've got the trims on that Ivecos and Peugeot boxes and whatnot have. So we've taken that off, cleaned that with wire wool. We'll also be doing it with sugar soap, but the next step after all the grinding was to just basically sand from front to back. So you see this line here, it kind of comes round, so we'll be imagining that continues with some tape. I'm going to be painting to there, so that will still be white while we're on holiday. But the idea is, so this is all rust protected, done, so we can put the solar panel on. But yeah, this is the most, Iveco roofs are very dirty. I've seen about 4 accounts on Instagram show a picture of before and after with all the moss. So it just, and then this one's extra bad because of all this dodgy sealant, as you can see along here, and along there, and along there, and down these channels. So yeah, a bit of a mess this roof, but once it's all primed and stuff, yeah. So once I've done all the grinding for all of this and this and this and this and this, I then decided that now I can sand it all, and then once it's all sanded with 120, then we're going to do some sugar soap, which will just get rid of any grease, paint dust and anything like that. Give it a quick dry, and then give it paint and primer. So yeah, you'll see that now. Sorry about the exposure, it's probably wrong, there's clouds coming in and out, but basically we're using hot water, scourer sponges and this sugar soap stuff, and basically use the scourer sponge just to rub any of the dirt and stuff off, and it just leaves a really clean layer for the primer to stick to. And then once the primer's stuck, I don't think we're going to sand it because it's the roof, be honest. This roof isn't nice as is, so who really cares? So once we've got the primer on, then 3 coats of top coat, and if it looks bad, then we won't worry and we'll change it for the sides when we do the sides. But if it looks fine, then we probably won't sand in between coats. I imagine we probably will, but we'll see how it goes. So, we're now starting the second day of painting. We didn't think it would be like madly hot this weekend. Turns out 20 degrees is pretty hot, and the difference between white and very light grey for touching the metal is mental. Like the white, you can sit on it and it's like just slightly warm metal, but the black, the grey was just like, I don't even know how, but anyway. Don't use the little high density foam. They're for gloss, but they absorb so much paint. For one, they probably absorb a centimetre in one of those small trays to get it on there, and you won't ever get that out again. That's just to fill it so it doesn't make it patchy. And then after about like 1 metre of the van roof, so 1 metre by like 2 metres or something, they start to disintegrate, so you need another one. So don't get them. Get these like furry ones. These are just from Wix, and there's 10 of them in here if you want to look at that. That's what we got. They're 4-inch rollers, just like the other ones, but they give a nice finish too. So if you're going to get them, don't get the high density foam rollers. Get these, because they work just as well. No, these work better, because apparently you can get expensive ones of these as well. But yeah, these ones, these Wix own ones, we use them for the boat. And if you haven't seen the boat painting videos, go check it out up here, because it turns out really well each time. When I was painting the van for the first time, I was like, this is very odd, you have to make it absorb half the paint. And then we used a whole litre of primer just on the roof alone. So top tip, do not use, Okay everyone, so it's now a couple of days later, and I didn't film it all, mainly because I've been busy doing stuff and seeing people. But basically, after the primer, we put one top coat on, and we used the other rollers. Like I said, not to use them because we ended up just buying better rollers. Then we put another coat on, second one. This was thinned down to a 5:1 ratio, and then we sanded the last one with like a 120 on just by hand, and then we put a top coat on, the third coat, and now it looks very nice. Yeah, obviously this edge isn't very neat or anything because the rest of the van's going to be painted too, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so today, which will be next week's video, is adding on the solar panel. So yeah, but anyway, that's it for this week's video, and if you like the video, I would really appreciate a thumbs up, drop a comment down below, any questions, anything you want to ask, please do drop it down below, and if you're not subscribed, please do, because it really helps me out, and I'll see you in the next video next Wednesday.